When you think of a dominant wide receiver, Cooper Kupp probably isn't the name that comes up. In fact, you'd probably think of 10, maybe 20 names before finally hitting that wonderful alliteration of Cooper Kupp. Of course, you're not alone in this. Kupp has become one of the sport's greatest cautionary tales on overlooking a guy to the point where he finished high school with no college offers. Yes, the NFL's current leading receiver did not have a single offer. In this video, we're diving into how in the world that happened and how Kupp has been able to elevate his game at every level and turn into a dominant wide receiver. The Kupp family is one of the few families in NFL history to span 3 NFL generations. Cooper's grandfather, Jake Kupp, is a Saints franchise Hall of Fame O-lineman, and Cooper's father, Craig Kupp, was a backup quarterback in the NFL for a couple of years. Still, even with all that family background, Kupp wasn't given much attention in high school from college coaches. Actually, if you were to judge him from his freshman year in high school, a year where he weighed in at 112 pounds while secretly wearing ankle weights under his pants, well, you'd have no clue this kid had a drop of NFL blood in him. By graduation, though, Kupp looked the part. He was a two-way all-state selection at wide receiver and corner. He was named a top 100 prospect in the state by the Seattle Times. And he racked up over 1,000 yards his senior year while breaking the school record for touchdowns. He sent tapes to numerous coaches and even had his grandfather call up his connections at the University of Washington. Only one program even bothered checking in, and that was Yale. But during the middle of his senior season, they called him and said they were going in a different direction. Now he had nothing. He had nothing through his entire senior season and his entire senior year. He graduated with nothing. 3 weeks after that, FCS school Eastern Washington came calling, and that would be the one. In 2012, Kupp redshirted for the Eagles. But during summers in college, he attended and eventually worked at the Manning Passing Academy, and there his reputation began to grow. Peyton once said, "Eli and I would argue over who got to throw to Cooper, because all of his routes were very precise. He had great control of his body. You always knew where he was going, when he was going to break out or break in. For a quarterback and receiver, sometimes it takes a while to develop that timing. But he was one of those guys right away from me and Eli. The timing was easy. And of course, he caught everything as well." One summer, Rams GM Les Snead stopped by and heard Peyton talking so highly of Kupp, so we'll keep that one in mind for later. Back at Eastern Washington, Kupp had become one of the best receivers in the FCS. In 2013, he caught a touchdown in all 14 Eastern Washington games, a national consecutive games record. 2 years later, he won the Walter Payton Award as the best player in the FCS. He finished his college career as the all-time FCS leader in receiving yards and touchdowns. Any concerns over FCS production were largely put away with Kupp shredding Pac-12 teams every time he played them. In 4 games against Pac-12 opponents, he totaled 716 yards and 11 TDs. Perhaps taking every opportunity he had to embarrass those major programs that ignored him in high school. Former Rams Director of College Scouting and current Lions GM Brad Holmes said Kupp looked like the best player at the Senior Bowl. He looked explosive on turf and his shuffle time reflected that, but he ran a 4.62 40-yard dash. When considering whether the Rams should draft him, Holmes said the last thing in their minds was always that 40-yard dash. But Les Snead took a different approach, saying he was happy to see the subpar 40 time because he knew other teams would overrate it and shy away from Kupp. In the end, his GPS speed at the Senior Bowl was ultimately what mattered most. Kupp is the definition of football fast, and that's why he was ready to adjust to the next level. It's funny looking back at the 2017 draft, the receiver everyone was obsessing about was John Ross, and he was coming out of the school that ignored Grandpa Jake Kupp's requests. Ross put together a flash-in-the-pan redshirt junior season at Washington, and his combine had the opposite effect of Cooper Kupp's. He ran a record-breaking 4.22 40 time, and that vaulted him into the top 10 of the draft. Kupp, meanwhile, fell to the third round, and sure enough, the Rams snagged him. Perhaps they have Peyton Manning to thank, but either way, they liked what they scouted and didn't let that 40 time take over their evaluation. On top of that, Sean McVay had a 15-minute interview with him at the Combine and said you felt like you were almost talking to a receiver coach. Even still, if they knew the player he would become, they wouldn't have waited until the third round to draft him. Right away as a rookie, Kupp made an impact as he racked up over 800 receiving yards and became the team's leading receiver. That year would also be the first for the Rams with McVay, as the team improved their record by 7 wins. In 2018, the Rams went 13-3 on their way to Super Bowl 53. Unfortunately for Kupp, though, he tore his ACL halfway through the season and missed the team's playoff run. According to the LA Times, Kupp had to relearn how to run after surgery and used that as a way of eliminating the imperfections in his stride. He meticulously studied video of his form, breaking it down in super slow-mo, and the results were astounding. He said he's between 1.5 to 2 miles per hour faster than he was before the injury. What he did is unheard of, and it transformed him into the player he is today. The first year post-surgery, Kupp eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark for the first time and hit double-digit touchdowns. In 2020, the Rams grew frustrated with Jared Goff's lack of improvement. As a result, Kupp's numbers were down, and the team was left wondering what they could do with a top 10 quarterback. Kupp quickly developed a partnership with Matt Stafford, just like he had done with the Mannings at camp years earlier. And this year he's already received more targets in his career than ever before. The calling card for Kupp has been his production in the slot, as he's blown away any other receiver in that part of the field this year. As a route perfectionist, Kupp has studied the best of them, saying Devontae Adams' film study has done wonders for his own game. And now it's safe to say Kupp has become the best of them, as he's been the best receiver in the league this year and is a candidate for Offensive Player of the Year. Oh yeah, remember the contrast between Kupp and John Ross? Well, in just this season, Kupp has accumulated over 300 yards more than Ross's career totals. The Rams had top-tier players on defense for a while with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Now on the offensive side of the ball, Kupp is matching their playmaking ability. It's do-or-die time for the win-now Rams, and having a receiver like Cooper Kupp makes it a whole lot easier to make noise in the playoffs.